Good morning and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you very much for being here. It's so nice to see a crowd of tax leaders. And we have, the stalwarts of legacy companies, SPI, Intel, Jaquar. And we have new powerhouses also like Lenskart and Pioneer on the panel here. And what I'm going to basically talk about is how these leaders are using technology, to make tax compliance easier as they go by in their day-to-day lives. So thank you very much for being here, the panelists. And let's start, with the opening that how do you, see a modern tax stack, tax architecture as far as technology is concerned? You already have, you see, GST and income tax departments automated. You have to talk to them through APIs, get maybe daily notices, or even file your returns. And then you used to have RPA, but now you have AI and you have Gen AI. You have e-invoicing. You have document extension notices which come, virtually they come in bucket loads by the day. So how are you using technology, and how do you look at your technology stack from a day-to-day basis? We can start with Amardeep. Yeah.
If you say technology, so nowadays, without technology, it's very difficult to answer even a single notice from the tax office. The set of data, the food which the tax department is having, it's gone are the days when such data could be answered on an Excel or without a robust technology in place. And in fact, we should be very to my suggestion, we should be working on a proactive basis, adopting technology so that before even filing a return, we are aware of what are the probable questions which can come from a tax office, and we have a ready answer for that. So we should adopt technology to that level, to my understanding. And yes, we are adopting it on a day-on-day basis. We are working with the CIO, with the functional team, so that we have things in place.
Okay. Thank you. Puneet, would you like to give some examples also in what your technology stack includes?
Yeah, so what I think is one of the things when we talk of technology in tax, and if we compare the regulators, industry and consultants, what I feel is one step behind the government in this case. They have been the fast adopters of technology, whether it's the GST department you see, or whether it's the income tax. They have the big data, they have done their homework. And somewhere we as an industry need to gear up now and make technology as a key pillar for any tax function. So there's a lot of focus now on using AI tools and others. But what I would say is what I have seen across digital companies, because my experience has been working with digital companies mostly, the journey has already started long back with digital companies. So I used to work with an organization, an e-commerce organization, where they used to have a team called a taskless tax team, where the job was how do you automate all the process. And this was only software developers who were leading a tax team. For the first time I saw that. And now with AI coming in, what I increasingly see is how do you use AI tools? Like, so you said Gen AI is one thing, but increasingly now agentic AI is the other piece which is getting so much relevance right now. So I think it's very critical how we use these AI tools and how we educate our teams to make tax as the main pillar for technology, as the main pillar for tax.
That's great. So software developers working in the tech function. That's nice. Yeah, over to you, Rahul. You just come with an IPO, and I'm sure you must be under greatest scrutiny, and you have to be more compliant than the compliant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I agree with Puneet on that one sentence, that we are still way behind in terms of technology adoption as compared to the tax authorities. I think as a tax team, we are still focusing more on the Excel sheets, more on the manual work in terms of the recourse. But when it compares to the tax authorities' queries, we see that they have both the data, the GST and as well as the income tax, they both are talking to each other and come up with their queries. So I think what tax architecture or tax technology architecture, for me, it's more practical than just a fancy wish list, that we should pick up the source data from the ERP. The automation happens directly at the source at the ERP level. Then the data moves from the ERP data to the GST portal, or I would say the income tax portal for filing purposes, for the TDS and the GST. And then eventually the reports comes out, which just not talks about the compliance filing. It talks about the issues. It gives you the report that where is my outflow, why my outflow is there. In 1 month, I'm comparing the outflow is nil, or it's a lesser as compared to the outflow is in the next month. So it gives an idea more about the, not just about the tax compliance, it gives an idea how the business is evolving. So I'll give you one example. So what we have done the GST automation at our level. And as of now, for the last 4 months, I will tell you that my focus has been shifted from compliance to see how the business is evolving. Why in one state the business is there, why the business is not there in the other state. And then we think more about the capex, that there is a ITC blockage there in the capex in one state because the store is opening. So we get to know more about the business and we talk to the business team in that fashion. So that's how, as a wish list, which is also practical, we have now moved into that. And I see that as a tax team now, we are speaking more about the business than just the tax compliance. So this is my wish list. Yeah.
Yeah. So technology gives you visibility also into what's happening in the other zones and regions. Thank you. Anshu, what about your tech stack and technology? How does that look like?
So yeah, I agree with everybody here. I think India is way ahead, in terms of introducing digitization when it comes to e-invoicing, because I work with a lot of countries, and believe me, that India is way ahead when it comes to starting e-invoicing or reconciliations like GSTR 2A, 2B, because there are other countries which are still introducing e-invoicing, which are still thinking of launching e-invoicing. When it comes to internal in-house, it's not just when you're dealing with voluminous transactions, but when you're dealing with, say, for example, if I'm dealing with 70 plus countries, it's about how you align your compliances. It's very important because every week or say for every month, I have, say, for example, 90 plus compliances. Now to kind of align them, organize them, and to make sure that you don't miss out on any of the compliances, because as a tax function, we deal with statutory filings. We cannot afford to miss even a single filing. So automation and technology definitely helps here, because that helps you to keep a track. That helps you to kind of, keep an eye on what is coming next, because you work with finance teams. You need to have data, if you're not fully automated in-house, you need to work internally with the finance teams, ask for data timely, review data, and make sure it goes to the vendors on time, and you file it on time. So I definitely agree that technology in-house has to really step up. We as industry are still, as Rahul said, we are still on Excel sheets, more comfortable on Excel sheets. We need to change the mindset, need to progress towards automation.
Good to hear, at least for a change, that the government is ahead in technology. Amandeep, your thoughts on your tech stack?
So again, what I would say is that the reforms that government has brought in has forced the industry to step up and spend on the digital initiatives on the tax side also. So what we need currently is a strong data-based ecosystem which leverages automation, which which has a real-time data exchange, so that uniform compliance can be done across direct taxes and indirect taxes. Gone are the days when direct taxes don't speak to indirect taxes. Now, your tax audit report, clause 34 requires you to reconcile TDS. Clause 44 requires you to reconcile your GST expenses, whether you purchase from registered dealers, non-registered dealers. So what we have currently done in the organization is that we have put bots in place to do various type of checking before on a day-to-day basis. Like before the payment run, The bot picks up the invoices which are ready to payment. They check it with the 2A on the GST portal. And if it is not reported on the portal, then the payment gets stopped then and there only, and the email gets shooted to the vendor. That's a level of automation we have done internally. Also, being a financial company, we keep on receiving various notices from income tax department under 133(6) asking for cardholder data and everything. So we also have a bot in place, which suppose I receive 50 notices in a day, we'll place all of them at a place at the end of the day. The bot will pick up, will read it, will fetch the data from our systems, will create a reply and keep it at the same place. And next day when my team comes in, they will have a ready reply for 50 notices. So this is the type of technology that we all need to put in place so that repetitive work can be taken care of. The compliances happen on a day-to-day basis on a regular course, and what tax team can do is a value addition and act as a business facilitator. So that's what we plan to do. We are doing currently as of now.
Amazing. If you are already using bots to, read your notices and even draft a reply, that's awesome. And that's great. So Amandeep, staying with you then, now when you're doing such, innovations, which is always state of art already, if you're using Gen AI, how do you decide that if there is something to be done as far as technology is concerned, what you will build within SBI and what you will get done by an outside expert or a third party company or a tech service service provider for that matter? How do you make this distinction? Because there are so many technicalities which, as a tax head, you may not be that domain specialist, but somebody else might be helping. So what makes you take that decision in-house or outside?
So I think the decision rests on three grounds basically. First is availability of in-house expertise, which is whether you have an in-house expertise to create that thing internally or not. Secondly is the biggest one is the cost associated with doing it internally, because you would see that our internal project may take 3 to 6 months to develop a solution, which may become at times very cost burdensome. And third is how frequently the changes are happening in the ecosystem. How frequently you would be required to change that system or to change it in line with the statutory requirements. So we are a NBFC, and the data privacy is the biggest concern for us. So whatever touches my core system where the data of the cardholder is lying, my first priority will be to develop it in-house, because I will have more control on the data part and the leakages will be less. Even if it is a bit expensive, still I would want it to happen internally because it is touching my core system, and putting a bolt on that system will be risky for me. But if it is on my input side, like this vendor data, which I need to check whether this invoice is a valid invoice or not, the QR has to be read, whether the 2A 2B matching has to be done. And I know that every 6 months the law will change, the requirements will change. My preference will be to have a bolt-on from a SaaS service provider who is expert in this. He'll be cost efficient also, because he will be selling the same software to hundreds of clients. So I'll not incur much. He will change it along with the changes in the statutory requirements very fast. And I may miss something if I do it internally, but because he's doing for 50 clients, 100 clients, he will do it very fast and it will be cost efficient also. So we have both the models. Wherever there's data, like I mentioned, replying to income tax notices, we have developed an in-house bot. But wherever this is output invoices, inward invoices are concerned, we have taken solutions from outside service providers.
Yeah, so that's a good decision point, right? If it's concerning privacy or data of your clients, which is kept to be secured, you take that in-house call. And if it's a third-party kind of invoice handling or return handling, you give that to an outsourced party. And also because you want changes to be done as part of your outsourcing contract to that third party service provider. That's a good decision point. How about you, Anshu? How would you take that call? I have so many ERPs. How do I integrate with GST? How do I integrate with the income tax? How do you take that call in-house or?
Yeah, so I agree. Where you have a in-house development team, which takes care of, or which is capable and fully equipped of, creating a platform or creating software or a tool. It all depends on the business need. If my business need, if I have a very specific business need, I would definitely like to build, considering that I have the capability to build. But whereas if I have some repetitive task and some filings which are to be taken care of, there are tools in the market which have been created by experts, researched, So I would definitely like to take advantage of those tools which are available in the market. So for example, GST filings are there, the income tax filings are there, the TDS reconciliations are there. It's always better to go for the tools available in the market. But for example, I have some very internal approval flows to be taken care of. There's MIS which is happening. There's approver checker tracks which needs to be there. There's some reporting which needs to be happening every month, tax provisioning to be happening every quarter. So I would definitely want, considering again the capability in-house, to have a tool, to have a platform where I can set certain features which takes care of these regular reportings, regular provisionings. So definitely would like to build theirs. And as Amandeep said, if there's something which is dependent on law, which keeps changing, like for example, GST is an ever changing, it's always definitely better to buy, because there are people in the market who are actually working on those regular updates. One cannot keep track of that in-house. It's not possible for a small tax team to take care of that.
Yeah, great. So your decision point is probably internal approval flows and checkpoints and controls that you'd like to be in fully ahead of. You keep that as a decision maker for keeping it in-house.
Yes.
Staying with you, Anshu. So we had the last panel and some members mentioned about being proactive and using automation, to avoid probably disputes from the authorities and have your internal preemptive audits to be done. So how do you think can intelligent automation, or what are you doing to have a similar kind of internal audit or systems and automation and technology that can help you be prepared proactively for audit flags?
Yes, I agree with that. It's always better to be well prepared before. Disputes usually arise. I'll just talk about the basics, because there are mismatches in the data. You're just submitting some general information. There might be changes in the positions year on year. So these are the factors, very basic factors, which call for inquiries, investigations, or notices. Now, based on one's experience, one can always learn and kind of develop on those points which have caused disputes in the past. Being prepared means that, okay, I know that certain data is required. We are always dependent, as a tax team, we are always dependent on the finance teams for data. When they work on audits, when they work on workings, there are certain stands, entries passed during audit which have workings. There are detailed workings prepared for the related party transactions during audits, which goes into the financials. So all these we need to educate, or probably seek cooperation from the teams to have these data ready, create a data repository, so that as tax we can just go back to that data repository and take out information that we need. So how does automation or how does technology helps reduce disputes? It's only just by being prepared well in time. So I'm not saying the notices will disappear. The notices will reduce. You will have a better success rate when you are going towards CIT appeals or DRP. You will have lesser notices coming in, because when you the key thing is to be on time or before time the tax authorities. So once you know that the notice is going to be there, you have to be fully prepared with the data that is being asked. Once you know And once you're ready with the data, the tax authorities will be somewhere, convinced that, okay, there are no gaps in the information. There is no generic information being submitted. They are being answered on time. And if you answer these questions on time, I think the chances of further litigation reduces.
Yeah, thank you, Anshu. So, yeah, Rahul.
So I think how our tech can help in reducing the litigations, maybe because we are also working on that pattern, that especially the GST audits, the inquiries, the normal audits and the full-fledged GST audits. So what we have now started doing and using the tech, that we have picked out last 3 years, 3 to 4 years, the GST notices, and the robot or the bot is helping the finalizing those questions. They may be repetitive as well. So it gives us the 10 or 10, 20 questions, that these are the common questions that comes in. And now what we are doing, that we are using those questions in doing the health check of this current year, so that you are ready in terms of that these are the ready-made flag issues that happens every time GST audit. And as an internal health check you are done, you know that you have the answers. There is no 2B, 3B recourse. So that's how you preempt the questions, because there are common questions that's coming in for last 3 years, and then you address and keep it in your report. As and when the query comes in, you can just submit it.
Great. So, again, AI to the rescue, right? So, Rahul, staying with you, how do you ensure that use of technology becomes a core function and not just a side project? Do you have that kind of impetus in your organization?
Yes. So I think what we consider as a tax team, and we have decided collectively as a tax team that that it's not just the manual work. We really have to think beyond how to automate that manual work into the tech, right? And we have considered as a KPIs as well, right? I'll give you a very simple example, that one of in my GST team, we were doing the manual recourse in terms of the HSN, in terms of the vendor recourse, in terms of whether the GST is active or not. So there are some checks which we're doing manually. Now we decided that let's do away with this manual work. Let's bring the automation. It was one of the KPI of the team member, that in the next 3 months we have to automate this manual work. And the output was that if you're filing on the 10th, the Cygnet.One, it has to be -2. You need to file on 8th, right? And for the last 3 months, we have done the automation along with the help of our internal tech team. We explain our process, that we have to do this manual, do away with this manual project. And eventually we have achieved. There are lots of up and down, lots of to and fro. And we achieved that thing. Now the team is quite moved on from in terms of filing. Now they are analyzing the data. So on the 8th, we are doing the filing, and by 9th or 10th, I have that analysis with me. Then in which states we are paying, we have the revenue more, and then we compare it with the last month. And then we give it a report to the CFO, that's how the GST reports, and he compares it with the MIS. So that's how so it becomes the capability, and we are considering the tech as a team member, which enables us to work more.
Great. So, would the tax head also become the CIO in the future?
We're just improvising.
Yeah, Puneet, thoughts on the same thing? Technology being a core project rather than a side project?
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, so it's important to have a mindset shift, I would say. And this is where I think when you speak to large multinationals, I think that's where. So I slightly differ with Rahul here, I think, in terms of automation versus using AI. So automation is, I think, something which is generally which we will be doing in the normal course. But tax function now needs to take a step up. And that's where, how do you put digitization or AI as a key member, and everything revolves around that. Now, right now we have tax functions, which is direct tax, indirect tax, transfer pricing, and so on. But somewhere we as tax professionals need to understand that technology is something which will drive these processes. So it's important, like in terms of, like it's Anshu said that Excel is something which is not required right now, and she's very right in that sense, because now we have moved from that mindset to see how we can preempt things. And when Rahul says that one of the bots is able to find out the pattern of these notices, that in terms of GST notices, how this can be put in a more process-based way. So somewhere what I feel is how we are able to define that technology in terms of whether in direct tax it is able to file the returns without any manual intervention, when in indirect taxes is able to read GST notices and come up with a reply. So there are large organizations where they get 50 to 100 notices in a day, and somewhere when we talk of agentic AI or other forms of AI, those things would help. And similarly, in a transfer pricing methodology, I think it eliminates the role of the consultants in terms of doing a benchmarking, where the tool itself does a lot of those functions. So technology has to be core as a process. And somewhere when we give tax controversy or tax litigation the same weightage because of the dimensions, I think technology is now gaining that same level of relevance in an organization, and it sits on the same table, I would say, as the tax controversy would.
Yeah, that's great. I think technology probably understands tax. And going to you, Amardeep, since we are talking and the subject is, will the future tax head be a CIO? So how do you look at cross-functional, operating model of the CFOs, CIOs, and the finance transformation, and how the compliance actually works to fund and sustain the automation? So if you can throw a few thoughts on this.
So, frankly speaking, nowadays, cost for transformation, its results are not that big a concern for the organization. Organizations are trying to remain compliant. And whenever we talk of compliance, generally we don't face the heat of budgets and other things which previously used to be an issue. So yes, matlab the promoters are changing, the CEOs or the MDs, they are understanding what compliance is and what is the cost of non-compliance. And as far as the CFO and the CIO and the cross-functional team, involvement of the cross-functional team is concerned, yes, so CIO is someone whom we go with our wish list. Ki, yeah, this is the change. This is the change which we want to incorporate, or this is the kind of a thing which we want from you, so that we avoid doing repetitive things on an Excel and just spending time, wasting time, in fact, and not working on the core activities. So frankly, how it happens in my present organization is we go with a wish list to the CIO. Ki, boss, we need this development ahead, either to remain compliant or to proactively work towards a better compliant, or to proactively work towards the data to remain to answer in the subsequent audits or something like that. And then frankly we sit together, leadership sits together, and then we decide what all wish list can be fulfilled with an in-house team by the CIO, and for what we really need to go outside to some service provider which are readily either available in a market, or they need to customize something for us. So this is how we take up everything, taking all the functions, and especially the CIO under confidence to remain compliant and to be ready to answer anything which comes from a tax office.
Okay.
Because practically today, if you see a notice comes on Friday and you have to answer it by Tuesday or a Wednesday, and if you go for an adjournment, you hardly get an adjournment for a week's time. And answering such big notices with all hefty data is very difficult in the upcoming times if we really work on an Excel or something like that, and we don't remain proactive.
Okay, so in such a case, when you go to the CIO and when the product becomes ready and after a period of time, So who justifies the ROI or the investment in that requirement? Does that become a tax head's responsibility or the CIO's responsibility? Because now there is a term that's now evolving is the ROAI, return on AI, right?
Yes.
So how would you? I mean, I leave that open to everybody, starting with you, Amardeep.
So, frankly speaking, I've been into the tax function for almost 2 decades. So, I've seen a transformation. 7 or 8 years back, if I used to go to the with a cost involvement into a project, yes, there was evaluation and other things. But now mindsets have changed. If it is compliance, if it is if it is an investment to answer some tax notices, or it is a tax requirement, then cost is not that big a factor which is being considered nowadays.
Okay. Tax.
So,
Tax
so-
means ki yes, money will be there.
yes, it's
Puneet?
because tax today is hitting the bottom line. In fact,
Yes.
Yeah, I think what he said is very right, because tax hits the bottom line, and that's the key discussion point whenever you go with these tools. Is that somewhere this would help in terms of judging what the risk is on the company. And again, I have seen these conversations getting easier based on the risk levels, where the finance leaders and the CIOs have been able to appreciate that investment in a tool is actually lessening our risk rather than increasing the risk in terms of that.
Okay, so funding is probably easier to come by. What about upskilling your teams? Do you upskill your teams for AI or seek budgets for those also, Rahul?
Yes, absolutely. So it's not about learning the coding. As a tax team, you don't need to require or to
Coding
learn-
is done now.
Yes,
No
coding or to see create your new bot for yourself. It's not required. It's about the understand the need or the requirement of the AI. Whether, because there are lots of AI tools now. Everybody is using this word AI, right? It's about when I see the upscaling of the team, you need to understand what your problem areas are. You need to understand what are the tools available in-house and out-house, and what is the ROI. Whether the output is actually giving you that result which you are seeking for. That is the upscaling. That is the thing that you are educating yourself, that you identify a problem and then seeking a solution. Whether you can build it in-house or an out-house. That is the upscaling for me. And that is one of the KPI for the team as well, that if you are doing anything manually, whether it is doing a research. So I'll tell you one thing, that like Taxman and other products are coming their own AI research as well on the research papers, that they come up with their own opinions as well. So when we are now reviewing those products as well, that does it really help us in terms of reviewing or doing their own in-house research. So it's not like adopting every tool. It's like do your own research first.
Okay, Anshu, funds are justified upskilling?
Yeah,
ROAI?
I think, yeah, upskilling, I mean, in agreement with Rahul, but I think upskilling is also more about, coming from a traditional way of working and then having a mindset that, yes, I want to adopt automation. I want to adopt tools that work to my advantage. And therefore, it's not just me. It has to be the team which shares the similar mindset. It has to be the whole management which shares a similar mindset. And therefore, everybody goes in the same, thinks and goes and moves in the same direction. Tax cannot move all by itself if the finance and if the management is not supporting. So getting a budget, I think, may not be very simple, because we still have to justify how is this tool going to help us, how many number of hours will be reduced, how it's going to actually benefit us. Because yes, of course, compliance is my area. Compliance is every tax head area, to make sure that every compliance is on time. But then what goes behind it, only we know.
Okay. So it's not a given, but it has to be justified, right? Amandeep?
So again, already a lot of has been said about this. What I personally feel is, first and foremost is the mindset of the team. Because till few years back, whenever you ask someone about any IT thing, this is for the IT team, not for a tax team. Now that mindset is changing slowly. And the technology, how it's evolving. A year back, if you would ask somebody what is AI, he would say Chat GPT. But now, in last 1 year, from AI to generative AI to agentic AI, everything has now the Chat GPT is there, Perplexity is there, Gemini is there. So many tools have come up. So if you do not train your team to be on the top of the technology, you will certainly lose. So first and foremost is the mindset that yes, technology and tax has to go hand in hand. Secondly, once that mindset comes in, the second part is the training part. Because I still remember when I started using ChatGPT, because my daughters were using it for last 3 months, and I used to feel ignorant. I was very happy with the first draft of the answer that I will get from the ChatGPT. But once I attended trainings, I understood that the first draft is only 40% correct. You need to ask smart questions, then only you will get what you really want. So the training aspect is very important when this new animal of AI needs to be trained and to be incorporated in the tax scene. And the third and the foremost is the fear factor. What I saw in my team when we were putting bot is that we are doing this work. If tomorrow bot is doing this work, what will I do? My job will go. That fear is also there between, and that's why they don't want to adopt technology. So you need to put them into a different job profile, so that whatever repetitive work was currently being done or historically being done by them, uh, they are giving it to the bot, and they are doing a value addition on top of it, or they are doing some different work. So what's in it for me is a very important question to be answered for the tax team also, that if this bot does work for me that I used to do, what will I do? So if you can give them a better work, alternative work in the tax team or in the finance team, they will be happy to adopt the technology as well.
Yeah. So one very important thing you brought out, that the first output of an AI engine is not always the best. And always remember, because for tax, numbers are the most important. The accuracy and the figures which you ultimately report to the departments, they have to be verified again. And you have to assure yourself as tax heads, yes, that's the right number going. And, 10 years back, 2015, when I joined GSTN, I never knew that we'll be creating a system that will now start spewing out notices. And at the other end, I will meet Amandeep's bot, which will also make replies. So one last quick question, maybe in 10, 15 seconds. How far do you think is the day when there'll be an AI engine throwing notices and an AI engine replying to the notices? So how far do you think is the day, starting with you, Amandeep?
So it's already there. Now we should be talking about, so now even the appeals are being drafted by AI, the reply to notices are being drafted by AI.
No, I see no human in the loop. let them talk to each other.
It can be as fast as another 1 year.
Okay, yeah. Anshu, I mean, just on the lighter side, right?
Yeah, I think looking at the speed, the way technology is moving, it can happen anytime. Again, it all depends. So definitely, even when using ChatGPT, one needs to be cautious.
Yeah, sure.
So you can't just completely believe what it throws.
Yeah. Rahul?
I think yes, it's there on the cards. Even the tax officers are quoting the case laws using the AI. So I think it's there on the cards, I guess.
Okay. Puneet?
It's on the cards, but I think one of the things is hallucinations. So AI, any tool, like if both the tools are AI, how do you get rid of hallucinations there? I think that's one area where we should be cautious of.
Yes, absolutely. Amardeep? Machines talking to each other? How many months? Years?
So yes, this is gonna happen because tax department is also sending notices basis all AI results. So someday or the other, we have to be ready. Our AI responds to these notices.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody and the audience, for listening to us.